What's up, everybody? Eric Goldman and Darth Vader himself here with our first look at the brand new poster for Star Wars The Force Awakens. Eric, right off the bat, look at everybody who's in there, and then look at who's not.
It's a very busy poster, lots of characters, but no Luke Skywalker.
No Luke Skywalker. What the hell does that mean?
I mean, obviously they're making a big deal here by not putting him in the marketing for the film when we know he is in the movie.
Yes.
So it's interesting. I mean, there was a photo that kind of got leaked, but who knows what really is in store for Luke, where he is at in the galaxy and life. So it's interesting that they're keeping him out of this.
How much he's even in the movie? He isn't in the credits block. We'll get to that. But let's we obviously we have Kylo Ren, the bad guy, up in the top left. And then we have Daisy Ridley as Rey, and then Finn. So let's move on here and look at our new three leads.
Yeah, I mean, that was the main thing I would take away from this is that Rey is so central. I mean, she is given the hero position on this poster because Star Wars had a trio, but it was Luke's story.
Yeah,
and this poster clearly, to me, seems to indicate this is Rey's story. Above everyone else.
Well. Not only does this poster indicate that, let's look at the placement of her staff and Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Now, folks have pointed out that it looks like it's bleeding into it. That's no accident.
And some people thought her staff was actually making the red saber, but that's not the case at all.
So what do you think that suggests? Could the fan theory that these two are twins?
I mean, there's a lot of theories about it, but look, that's no accident. Obviously, the design of that. So is it a foreshadow? Could she turn to the dark side? Is it that there already is a connection between the two of them? All I would say is it means something. They didn't just do that. So there is some big connection here between those two characters, or maybe not the characters themselves as much as what her fate is.
Right.
But it could be a blood relation as well.
And of course, Finn, he is our new young male lead. It's John Boyega, rocking the lightsaber.
Yeah, and like we were saying, she's given the central position there with Finn, very, very much by her side. Not maybe not in exact stature there,
right?
But he's obviously also significant. Is he the co-lead? Is he just maybe slightly less significant? It clearly seems like these are the two characters we should be paying attention to above all. Yeah, Kylo Ren technically is the largest one, but I think that's kind of in the tradition of Darth Vader and Darth Maul looming over the poster. Because bad guys are cool looking, so they get to be big in the background.
Let's push on to our next little point.
I think the person who we're most surprised isn't large with the rest of them, which is Poe Dameron.
Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac, not exactly an unknown actor anymore, but we do see that he is he's rocking his X-wing pilot outfit, but of course. He has not really been as front and center in a lot of the marketing as I even on the toys. He's got his own toys, but let's face it, he's not the one that everyone is talking about.
Yeah, and here it seems notable that he's just sort of with everyone else, where Rey and Finn are so much more prominent.
And he's about the same size as BB-8, if not maybe a little smaller.
We know BB-8 is Poe's droid, so they're a duo. But yeah, it does seem to indicate that Poe maybe isn't quite have the screen time, and maybe it isn't quite the Han, Leia, Luke trio that we thought it might be initially, that he might have a somewhat lesser role.
Well, speaking of those two fresh faces here, let's talk about, here we have another great shot of Harrison Ford. He was, of course, on the last poster that came out, the Drew Struzan one. But I love that he still has the same blaster all these years later.
It's worked well for him in the past.
Exactly, and he's still popping his collar. But of course, our first real good look at Princess Leia, or maybe Queen Leia. Now, I always thought that's a little arbitrary. I mean, your home planet's blown up. There's no one else in line for the throne. You can make yourself whatever you want.
Yeah, it's hard to drop the title once you had it.
Exactly.
But we saw her in some behind-the-scenes footage at San Diego Comic-Con on the set. But yeah, this is your first more official look at Leia now.
And that her giant hairdo kind of bleeds into Chewbacca too.
Yeah, it's funny because people have been saying, "Oh my God, what's with the crazy hair?" I'm like, it's Leia.
She's always had crazy hair.
That's a thing. If you're gonna bring Leia back, you got to bring back the crazy hair.
Well, let's move on to our next point here, which is little Maz Kanata. Now, that's Oscar winner Lupita Nyong'o as a motion capture character, a pirate.
Yeah,
she has her own castle and everything.
Who's a leader? She's is she queen of the pirates? We're not quite clear.
Yeah,
but she certainly is someone of significance. That it seems at some point the story will bring them to her lair. Is she sort of the new Jabba? Maybe not in temperament, but at least as far as power and position goes.
She's also, they've given her a shout out in the toys and stuff too.
Yeah.
And a few folks have pointed out that her grin is a little Jar Jar-esque, but that's just fear talking.
It'll be okay, everyone. It'll be okay.
Okay, now let's talk about this thing.
That is Luke Skywalker transformed into something else. I don't know.
It's now the living planet.
Anything is possible, people.
No, that's Starkiller Base, we believe.
Think.
I mean, look, if that's not Starkiller Base, I'm afraid to see what Starkiller Base is.
So we should explain for people who don't know that it has been officially announced. It has a listing on StarWars.com and everything that in this movie we're going to go to a place called Starkiller Base, which is described as a ice planet that has been turned into a stronghold by the First Order and has a new super mega weapon that can destroy entire star systems, right?
Yeah.
So again, given that this has such prominence on the poster, we're guessing, and it does look like it's a planet that they've maybe built into and built this thing inside.
Look, it sounds great, but you can hollow out a planet, but you can't, build another Death Star or whatever, I guess.
It's got a force field,
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Yes, as you pointed out too, finally the force field, from the actual base and not from a moon.
Maybe. We'll see. And we think that's Starkiller Base. It certainly seems very likely that's what we're looking at there.
Okay, now Captain Phasma. Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones plays her.
Who already has, this character already has quite a cult following just for being freaking awesome looking, and is given, a cool position on the poster, center, right above the title. I think sort of pointing out, I don't think she's going to be a lead character, but someone, that you should keep your eye on as maybe a breakout part of this film.
But you know what's interesting? Gwendolyn Christie plays her, of course, but she's not in the credits. Now, I do want to point out that this is the first Star Wars movie and Star Wars poster where Harrison Ford gets billing over Mark Hamill.
Yeah, and again, we're getting into funny stuff here where we don't know all the behind the scenes. This involves, of course, lawyers and agents and deals.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense that the original trio, no matter how much their screen time is, gets listed first because they're back. It is funny that Harrison Ford is now billed above Mark Hamill when that wasn't the case in the original trilogy. But then, to me, it is very just on an observational note, because who knows what went into it. Looking at the order of the actors after the original trio. It's not alphabetical, so this was all had to be worked out. Adam Driver gets listed first. After
so Kylo Ren getting basically top billing of the new cast ahead of Daisy Ridley, who is, from what we understand, the actual protagonist of the story, and of course John Boyega, and yet Oscar Isaac, he's fourth billing there.
Yeah.
So, not bad, but you would think being on a poster, you would get more. Andy Serkis is on there, and we didn't get to see Supreme Chancellor Snoke on the poster.
There are three people listed that we should note aren't on the poster besides Hamill. Andy Serkis, Domhnall Gleeson.
Donald.
Thank you. Has Hux, who we've seen photos of. And then Max von Sydow, who has a mystery character.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, also to point out here in the credits, written by Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams. They're there as a writing team. But more notably, and Michael Arndt, Oscar winner Michael Arndt did, Little Miss Sunshine, and I believe, what was it, Toy Story 3, right?
One of the Toy Stories.
Yeah, one of the Toy Story movies. And they pretty famously threw out, his story from what we understand and kind of started over.
From what we understand, they did a major rewrite, but again, this goes to the Writers Guild, and every movie has to be sort of submitted, and if the Writers Guild decides that your script, or at least your story, and what I'm guessing here is they decided that enough of his initial structure of the story was from his script, that
because
he gets
it's
credit.
just a written by credit, it's not story by and screenplay by, so that's again, everything is very specific when you get into credits.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else jumping out at you at all, or is that?
I want to see this movie.
Yeah, so do I. Well, we're going to get the new trailer
By the time you're watching this, you might have already seen the trailer. Who knows?
Well, we can't wait to see this movie. For all things Star Wars, keep it here on IGN.